99.8% of people lose respect without ever realizing it's happening. No one announces it. No one pulls you aside and says, "I respect you less now." It happens silently. In tone shifts, in shorter replies, in subtle changes in eye contact, in the way someone used to lean forward when you spoke, and now they lean back. Respect rarely collapses in one dramatic moment. It erodes, quietly, gradually, through small psychological signals that most people ignore. And the dangerous part is this: people assume respect is lost because of failure. It's not. You don't lose respect because you made a mistake. You lose respect because of how you respond to small pressure. Respect is a constant evaluation. People are always scanning you, consciously or unconsciously, asking themselves, is this person stable? Are they grounded? Do they stand firm under tension? Or do they bend the moment discomfort appears? The moment your behavior communicates, "I need you to see me a certain way," something shifts. The dynamic tilts slightly, not enough for you to notice immediately, but enough for them to feel it. Over-explaining, over-defending, overreacting. These behaviors seem harmless, mature even, but psychologically, they signal something deeper: fragility around perception. If someone lightly questions you, and you rush to justify yourself, what you're really communicating is that being misunderstood feels intolerable. And intolerance of misunderstanding signals insecurity. Insecurity quietly lowers perceived strength. The person who remains composed under small misunderstandings carries more weight, not because they dominate, but because they don't scramble. Most people scramble instantly. Someone pulls back slightly, and they chase. Someone delays a reply, and they panic. Someone criticizes them, and they defend emotionally. Each reaction feels small in isolation, but repeated small reactions create a pattern, and patterns shape reputation. Respect is built on perceived self-control, not control over others, control over yourself. The moment someone senses that a slight shift in tone can destabilize you, they unconsciously downgrade your authority, not out of cruelty, out of instinct. Humans are wired to trust emotional containment. The person who can hold tension without rushing to resolve it, who can sit in ambiguity without forcing clarity, who can tolerate silence without filling it nervously, that person feels solid, and solidity commands respect. Most people are externally anchored. Their mood depends on response. Their confidence depends on validation. Their stability depends on reassurance. So when the environment shifts, they shift with it. And that reactivity makes them feel negotiable. Respect is not about being liked. In fact, chasing likability often dissolves respect faster than open disagreement ever could. Because being liked requires constant adjustment. Respect requires steadiness. When your opinions soften the moment they're challenged, when your boundaries blur under mild pressure, when your tone changes depending on who you're around, people notice. They may still smile, they may still engage, but internally, once someone senses that your behavior is negotiable under pressure, your position weakens. This doesn't mean becoming cold or rigid. It means becoming internally anchored. There is a difference between flexibility and fragility. Flexibility is chosen, fragility is reactive, and most people mistake reactivity for kindness. They smooth tension, they rush to clarify, they overcorrect minor shifts, and in doing so, they slowly leak power. Respect is rarely taken from you in one dramatic moment. It is surrendered in small anxious ones, when you didn't trust your own stillness. And the most uncomfortable truth is this: you've probably done it recently. Maybe today, maybe in a small interaction you barely remember. A moment where you could have stayed steady, but instead, you adjusted to protect perception. That's how respect erodes. Quietly, incrementally, without you ever hearing it leave. Let's get specific, because respect doesn't disappear randomly. It drains through repeated behaviors that seem small in the moment, but loud psychologically. One of the fastest ways people lose respect is by explaining themselves when no one asked. You make a simple decision, set a boundary, or express a preference, and before anyone challenges you, you begin justifying it. You add extra details, extra reasoning, extra softness. What you're really communicating is that your choice cannot stand on its own. Certainty doesn't rush to defend itself. When you defend prematurely, you signal doubt, and doubt lowers perceived strength. Another subtle behavior is nervous overreaction, especially in social tension. Someone teases you lightly, questions you casually, or disagrees with you mildly. Instead of holding eye contact and responding calmly, you overlaugh, oversmile, or you try to show you're unaffected, but the intensity of your reaction exposes that you are affected. Emotional overcompensation is one of the clearest signs of pressure sensitivity. And pressure sensitivity quietly reduces status. Then there's the habit of changing your stance too quickly. You express an opinion, someone pushes back slightly, and within seconds, you soften it. You retreat, you dilute your own position to maintain harmony. Adaptability is strength when it's intentional, but immediate retreat under mild disagreement feels unstable. People respect those who can hold their ground calmly, not aggressively, not defensively, just calmly. When your position collapses at the first sign of resistance, It tells others that your confidence depends on approval. Another silent respect killer is indirect reassurance. You don't ask directly, but you hint. You monitor tone. You ask subtle questions designed to confirm you're still valued. You've been quiet. Everything okay? Are we good? These questions may seem harmless, but when they become frequent, they reveal anxiety about stability. And anxiety shifts hierarchy. The person who appears more concerned about the connection usually holds less leverage within it. Respect thrives where emotional self-sufficiency exists. It weakens where emotional dependence becomes visible. Overreacting to minor shifts is another pattern that drains authority. A shorter reply changes your mood. A delayed response shifts your energy. A neutral tone feels like rejection. When your emotional state fluctuates based on small external changes, people sense it, and instability makes others subconsciously question your strength. The core issue underneath all of this is tension intolerance. Most people cannot sit in mild discomfort. They need immediate resolution, immediate clarity, immediate reassurance. So they speak too soon. They fix too fast. They correct too eagerly. But the person who can sit in that space, who can tolerate ambiguity without spiraling, appears grounded. And grounded individuals command respect without asking for it. There is also the habit of over-adjusting to maintain approval, changing your humor depending on the room, softening your boundaries around certain personalities, agreeing outwardly while disagreeing internally. Every small self-abandonment accumulates. People may not consciously label it, but they feel it. They sense when someone's behavior is shaped by acceptance-seeking rather than internal alignment. And once someone senses that your behavior shifts under pressure, they recalibrate how seriously they take you. Respect is deeply connected to perceived emotional containment. If a slight tone change can trigger you, if a small misunderstanding can destabilize you, if minor friction makes you scramble, then your presence feels negotiable. And negotiable presence rarely commands authority. The uncomfortable truth is that most people believe they are being kind, cooperative, or emotionally intelligent when they are actually signaling fear of disapproval. They think smoothing tension preserves respect, when in reality it often dissolves it. The paradox is this: trying too hard to maintain a good image makes you look imaged, and image-dependent people feel fragile. Respect doesn't grow around fragility. It grows around stability. The person who can remain measured under pressure, who doesn't chase emotional balance, who doesn't rush to repair every tiny fluctuation, that person feels solid. And solidity is rare. That rarity is what creates weight. Most people lose respect not because they are incompetent, but because they are too eager to be seen correctly, too eager to maintain harmony, too eager to prevent discomfort. And in that eagerness, they slowly give away the very thing they're trying to protect. Now here's the part most people never learn. Once respect starts slipping, they try to fix it by doing more explaining, more proving, more effort, more emotional intensity, and that almost always makes it worse. Because respect is not rebuilt through persuasion, it's rebuilt through stability. The first shift is internal. You have to stop managing how you're perceived. The more you try to correct someone's image of you in real time, the more you communicate that their perception controls you. And the person who is controlled by perception cannot command respect. Instead of reacting to every small misunderstanding, let some of them exist. Not every false assumption needs immediate correction. Not every shift in tone needs investigation. When you instantly rush to clean up ambiguity, you signal that ambiguity destabilizes you. But when you can let it sit calmly, without visible discomfort, something changes. People begin recalibrating around your stillness. The second shift is slowing your responses under pressure. When challenged, questioned, or subtly tested, most people speed up. They talk faster. They explain longer. They try harder. Instead, slow down. Shorten your sentences. Lower your tone. Reduce your emotional volume. The calmer you become under mild tension, the more psychological weight your presence carries. Respect grows in the gaps where others expect reactivity but find restraint. Another powerful adjustment is eliminating unnecessary justifications. If you say no, let it end there. If you're busy, state it briefly. If you disagree, express it without hostility but without retreat. Clarity is short. Insecurity is long-winded. The more concise you become, the more grounded you appear. And grounded communication rebuilds authority over time. You also have to become comfortable with temporary discomfort in relationships. When you stop over-adjusting, some people will react. They may test you. They may push slightly harder. They may attempt to pull reassurance from you. This is not the moment to fold. This is the moment to stay measured. Because the instant you return to old patterns under pressure, you confirm that your steadiness was temporary. And once someone learns that a little discomfort makes you revert, the dynamic resets downward. Respect stabilizes when your behavior becomes predictable under stress. Not emotionally flat, predictable in composure. If your tone remains even, your boundaries consistent, and your reactions measured regardless of external shifts, people begin to experience you as solid again, and solidity rebuilds trust. There's also something deeper happening here. When you stop chasing approval, you unconsciously communicate abundance. You no longer feel like someone trying to secure a position. You feel like someone who already has one. And that subtle difference changes how others invest in you. The person who appears afraid to lose the dynamic often loses influence within it. The person who appears steady regardless of outcome regains it. This doesn't mean becoming detached or indifferent. It means becoming self-contained. Your emotional state should not swing wildly based on small external cues. The more contained you are, the more others must rise to meet your level rather than pulling you down into reactivity. Over time, this recalibrates perception. Fewer explanations, fewer emotional spikes, fewer defensive corrections, more pauses, more brevity, more composure. Respect rebuilds quietly, the same way it was lost incrementally. But this time, it accumulates in your favor, and eventually, something subtle happens. People stop testing as much. They stop probing for reassurance. They stop pushing minor boundaries, because your reactions no longer reward that behavior. What remains is a cleaner dynamic, a steadier presence, and a level of respect that doesn't depend on constant maintenance. In the end, respect isn't about dominance. It isn't about intimidation. It isn't about winning every interaction. It's about emotional self-governance, the ability to remain internally anchored when small pressures arise. Most people lose respect because they react too quickly to protect their image. The few who keep it are those who can protect their composure instead. And composure, once consistent, becomes reputation. Here's the final layer most people never consider. Respect is not something you demand. It's something people feel when your presence becomes emotionally expensive to destabilize. When small provocations no longer move you, when mild misunderstandings no longer shake you, when subtle shifts no longer trigger visible adjustment, people begin to experience you differently. Not louder, not colder, just heavier, and psychological weight changes dynamics without a single word being said. The mistake most people make is believing respect comes from intensity, strong opinions, dominant behavior, constant assertion. But intensity without stability feels erratic, and erratic energy cannot hold authority for long. True respect grows around those who are difficult to emotionally knock off center. Think about the last time you lost respect for someone. It probably wasn't because they failed. It was because they reacted poorly to something small. They became defensive, or overly emotional, or desperate to correct perception, or visibly shaken by minor pressure. In that moment, something recalibrated in your mind. You didn't announce it. You just felt it. That same mechanism operates when people evaluate you. Every small reaction teaches others how solid you are. And once they map your pressure points, the hierarchy becomes clear. If slight disapproval makes you overcompensate, if subtle distance makes you chase, if mild criticism makes you unravel internally, then your center is externally controlled. And externally controlled people cannot sustain respect. The real shift happens when you stop treating every fluctuation as a threat. Not every delay is rejection. Not every disagreement is disrespect. Not every silence is danger. But when you interpret small uncertainties as threats, your behavior becomes defensive. And defensiveness leaks insecurity. The more secure individual in any dynamic is usually the one less reactive to uncertainty. That's the uncomfortable truth. If you want respect, you must increase your tolerance for ambiguity. You must allow conversations to breathe. Allow silence to exist. Allow others to question you without rushing to restore equilibrium. When you stop scrambling to maintain harmony, harmony becomes more natural. When you stop fighting to preserve image, your image stabilizes on its own. There is also a discipline in saying less. Words are powerful when they are measured. When you speak constantly to adjust perception, your words lose density. But when you speak selectively, calmly, and without emotional urgency, your words carry weight. Weight commands attention, and attention, sustained over time, turns into respect. Another critical piece is outcome independence. When you behave in a way that subtly signals, I must not lose this, you place the other person above the dynamic. But when your behavior communicates, I prefer this, but I remain steady regardless, the balance shifts. Not through manipulation, through composure, and composure is rare. Most people cannot remain composed when something matters to them. They tighten, they push, they try to control. The few who don't, the few who stay grounded even when stakes feel high, become unforgettable. Because steadiness under emotional pressure feels powerful. In the end, losing respect is rarely about a dramatic mistake. It's about repeated micro-reactions that reveal fear, instability, or approval dependence. And rebuilding respect is not about becoming colder or harsher. It's about becoming harder to shake, slower to react, quieter under pressure, more comfortable being briefly misunderstood. When you master that, something shifts permanently. People speak to you differently. They test you less. They weigh your words more carefully. Not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior made disrespect feel ineffective. And that is the real standard. Respect is not preserved by force. It is preserved by emotional control. Most people never develop it. That's why most people lose respect without realizing it. The few who do understand this become steady in a world that constantly reacts. And steady people are very difficult to downgrade. If you've listened this far, you've probably recognized yourself in at least one of these patterns. The subtle defensiveness, the need to smooth tension quickly, the discomfort when someone's tone shifts slightly. And that awareness is important because you can't correct what you refuse to see. Most people will hear this and immediately think about how others lost their respect. Very few will pause and ask where they've been leaking it themselves. That question alone separates growth from ego. The goal isn't to become emotionless. It isn't to become distant or intimidating. It's to become internally governed, to reach a point where small pressures no longer dictate your behavior, where slight misunderstandings don't trigger urgency, where silence doesn't provoke anxiety, where disagreement doesn't threaten identity, because when your identity isn't fragile, your reactions don't need to be dramatic. And when your reactions aren't dramatic, your presence feels grounded. From this point forward, notice the split second where you feel the urge to explain more than necessary, the moment you want to correct someone's perception immediately, the impulse to chase reassurance. That is the exact moment respect is either lost or reinforced. If you can pause there, just pause and choose composure instead of reaction, you begin rebuilding something powerful, not image, not dominance, stability, and stability compounds. The more consistently you respond with calm brevity under pressure, the more predictable your strength becomes. And predictable strength is what people trust. You don't need to announce boundaries aggressively. You don't need to prove confidence loudly. You don't need to control every narrative. You need to control your reactions. That's it. Because the person who controls their reactions controls their presence. And the person who controls their presence controls how they're experienced. Respect isn't about forcing others to see your value. It's about behaving in a way that makes your value difficult to question. That comes from emotional discipline, from resisting the urge from letting tension exist without scrambling to erase it, from being okay with not being instantly understood. When you stop trying to protect your image in every interaction, your image becomes stronger naturally. When you stop reacting to every minor fluctuation, fluctuations stop controlling you. And when you stop fearing the loss of respect, you stop behaving in ways that cause it. Most people will continue reacting, continue leaking stability in small anxious moments. That's why most people quietly lose respect over time. If you choose differently, if you choose composure over impulse, you automatically separate yourself. Not through arrogance, through steadiness, and steadiness is rare. If this made you reflect, then the work has already started. In the next interaction you have, practice saying less. Practice pausing longer. Practice holding eye contact a second more than usual. Feel the discomfort and don't rush to escape it. That's the training. If you want more content on power dynamics, emotional control, and psychological mastery, subscribe and stay consistent with this work. Because respect isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built in quiet ones, when you choose not to fold.